I'd love to go to university and it's a great opportunity, but with my background and obviously with the higher fees, it's a harder possibility.
Overall, I definitely want to go, but the money is just a really big issue at the moment. Being in all that debt at the end of it, it's quite worrying.
It's a scary prospect at the moment, especially with the fee changes and stuff. But I still want to go to university, but at the moment I'm just not sure about how that's possible. So, yeah.
Absolutely loved university. For me, I never really wanted to go. In school and college, it wasn't on the agenda, but I'm so glad I ended up going because I think I've benefited so much from it.
It's just something I'd always wanted to do, and then when I got to do my masters as well, I just never want to leave.
I learned so much. I learned my independence. I learned how to, live without my parents and develop within a new city and surroundings that I'd never seen before.
The experience was amazing. My confidence just came on leaps and bounds, and it really just enriched the skills that I can use for in later life as well.
It gave me a really great stepping stone to start my career.
I've never looked back. It's the best thing I've ever done.
What I know is that it's increasing to £9,000 is the maximum. They don't have to go up to that. However, a lot of universities have. I understand that you don't have to pay it back until you're earning £21,000 a year.
I think everyone knows how much it's going to cost, but right now I don't think everyone really truly understands how it breaks down and how you can repay it at the end.
The cost is a big issue, but it's one of those things that if you really want to do it, then I think you've got to go ahead and do it.
I knew I could survive with the loans that would be available to me. I worked it out and I sat down and I decided I could do it.
It's really a lot about learning how to budget and how to manage your money, and that was a skill that I learned from going to university.
There are two main costs students need to consider: tuition fees and living costs.
So if people are going to go to university in 2012, they can pay up to £9,000, but it depends on what university you're going to. That's tuition fees, and every student has to pay for that.
The living costs, your costs, so it's all about your accommodation, your food, going on nights out and stuff, the general socialising you do at uni.
Living costs cover your things from your accommodation to your books to your food and to going out. So it's pretty much all of the things that are not related to tuition fees.
The most important thing people have to understand about this system, the absolutely integral thing to get in your head, is you do not need the money to go to university if you're a first-time undergraduate. Your parents do not need the money. The money will be lent to you by the student's loan company that will pay the university, and you will only have to repay that if you're earning enough when you leave. The people who are saying my parents don't have the cash to pay for tuition fees, that's an irrelevance. They don't have to pay for tuition fees. In a way, I've heard this system described as a no-win, no-fee. If you earn a lot when you come out of university, you're going to pay a lot. If you don't earn a lot, you won't pay much. And many people are scared about this loan, rightly so. I've been telling people, to beware of debt all of my career. But this is a very different type of debt. It doesn't go on your credit file. If you're not earning anything, you don't have to repay it. If you're not earning over £21,000, you don't have to repay it. You only pay in proportion to what you're earning. After 30 years, even if you haven't repaid a penny, the debt is wiped, or if you've cleared it before that. It's a conceptually very different issue to a normal type of debt. You pay it through the payroll, which is, for people who are 17 and don't know what that means, when you work and you have an employer, he normally or she normally takes the tax out of your income. Well, they will also take the student loan out, so the amount of money you get in your hand goes straight in your pocket. The loan has already been paid, and that importantly means there are no debt collectors when it comes to student loans. There's no knocking on your door, "Oh, you owe us the money," because you will have paid it. So while people are rightly scared of loans, this is a different system that needs some thinking to get your head around.
Loans and grants I'm not very, I don't really know much about, but I know that if I earn over a certain salary I can pay it off slowly, but it's still, to be in that much debt, it's not good.
It makes you think whether university is actually right for you. I mean, everybody goes to college and goes, yeah, I'm going to go to university at the end of it. But it's making you think, is that going to really help me in my career?
It's quite frightening as a student to know that that's a lot of money that you've got to pay back, regardless of whether you earn more or not.
There are two types of loans to help new students cover the costs of university: tuition fee loans and living cost loans. From September 2012, English universities can charge new full-time undergraduate students who normally live in England up to a maximum of £9,000 a year. But loans to cover tuition fees are available. The tuition fee is paid directly to your university by the government. Living cost loans, also called maintenance loans, are available to full-time students to help pay for living costs, such as food, travel and accommodation. You don't have to pay your tuition fee loan and living cost loan back until you are earning over £21,000 a year.
Basically, you don't start paying anything back until you're earning over £21,000, and that's only 9% of your salary above that £21,000. So say I was earning £25,000, I would only pay 9% of £4,000. And if you break it down, it works out to like £7 a week. It's like £30 a month. It's nothing. So.
It's a night out at the most, you know.
Yeah.
People have always been told that you shouldn't get into debt and stuff, but it's a different kind of debt, because if you're not earning the money, then they're not asking for it back. If you're not earning over 21,000, you won't have to pay anything. If you have been paying stuff and you do go back under 21,000, then they'll stop the payments.
It won't make an immediate impact on your day-to-day living, which I think a lot of people, have misconceptions about.
The confusion about the new system for many people is they hear about the price tag, the £50,000 of debt that you will leave university with. I wish I could say that isn't true. It is true. If you add up the maximum tuition fee loan and the maximum maintenance loan over 3 years, it's over £50,000. But that actually bears very little relationship to the amount you pay, the cost to you, because the cost to you depends on the amount that you earn. You'll repay 9% of everything you earn each year over £21,000 for 30 years. So the more you earn, the more you repay. The less you earn, the less you repay. And what this actually means is that £50,000 figure, even if you took that borrowing, is meaningless. If you're a lower earner and never go over the threshold, you won't repay a penny, even if you only go a little bit over it. You'll repay far, far less than the £50,000. If you're a high earner, because of the interest that's added on, well, you're likely to repay a lot more than the £50,000 if that's what you borrow. So the system, the amount that you borrow is actually not very well linked to the amount that you repay, and people have to have that brain change about that.
I don't really know anything about grants. There's only one grant that I've heard of, and that's Hugh Grant, so I don't understand much about all the loans and everything. It's a bit confusing for me.
I mean, I've heard about like grants and everything, but I don't know exactly how it all works, what's going on.
Yeah.
We're not really taught about grants through education and through the media. It's not really mentioned as much maybe it should be, because it's quite a helpful thing that can help you get through university.
Grants don't have to be paid back, but are not available to all students, and the amount you receive depends on your household income. You could receive the maximum grant of £3,250 a year if your household income is £25,000 or less. You could get a partial grant if your household income is over £25,000 and under £42,600. You can estimate your grant online at www.direct.gov.uk/yourfuture.
For some students like myself who come from a poorer background, there are grants available. For me, this grant was a small addition onto what I already got as a loan. And it was very helpful to get me through university.
Grants is something that you can get. It's basically free money off the government. You don't have to pay that back. So that's dependable on like how much your mum and dad earn.
I was entitled to grants in my first and second year, and they were a massive help. And it's really good to know that even if you are from a low-income family, you can afford university.
As well as your student loan, there are 3 types of grants that you may be eligible for. The first is the basic one that comes for people who come from lower income families below £42,000, which means some of your loan will be replaced by a grant. Now, a grant just means you never have to pay it back. You don't owe it, you're given the money, it's yours. Way! As simple as that. So some of the loan is replaced by a grant for people who come from lower income families. There's also the universities themselves are giving out scholarships and bursaries, which they have to do as part of the conditions for charging a higher fee. And again, that tends to focus on either those from disadvantaged backgrounds or lower income families, so it's very worth talking to them. And then there is a whole other range of charity type grants and scholarships that may be available because of maybe where you come from, what your parents do. Dad's a fireman, might be a grant available there that you should look at too. So please don't think the loan is the be all and end all. Go and have a look what other finance is available for you, and hopefully some of it you might not have to pay back.
I know that there's bursaries and scholarships available for people who necessarily don't have the financial background that can support the increase in fees, but I don't know all the details. I don't think they're out there as much as they should be, really.
Most universities also offer their own bursaries and scholarships. These are paid annually, and you don't have to pay the money back. Each university will decide what support they'll offer, so you'll need to check to see what your chosen university is offering and whether you're eligible. Extra financial help is also available to eligible disabled students and students with children.
Certain universities will offer other kind of financial help during your time at university. So there's something called a scholarship program where they manage to give you maybe a fee waivers, which takes the cost of going to university down. They might give you money off accommodation, or they might even give you a cash lump sum, which is very helpful when times are tough.
A lot of universities give bursaries out, but I mean that completely depends on what university you go to, because if they're charging more, if they're charging up to £9,000, let's say, they have to put in place extra bursaries and larger bursaries so that people can afford it still, because there's a lot of people coming from lower income backgrounds.
I was fortunate enough to get a bursary because I got given the bursary on the merit of me receiving the full grant, so that was a massive help because I didn't get much financial help from my parents that they couldn't. So for me, getting like a grant and a bursary was just such a help.
As far as the budgeting goes, I think everyone kind of messes up a bit in their first year, but from that, you learn. You'll eat beans on toast or stuff like that for a while. Yeah.
My whole first year was a budgeting disaster, to be fair. I got really excited by getting quite a bit of money. Didn't really know what to do with it. So initially, that was sort of whenever I went shopping, I sort of bought really expensive things that didn't last very long.
It was pretty overwhelming. I'd never lived by myself before or anything like that, so it was. But it was interesting. You learn so much as you go. Do you know what I mean? You just suddenly realise that you can't go out for dinner every night, even though you do have a loan. You have to kind of budget and figure things out for yourself. But it was definitely a great learning curve. Yeah.
When people go off to university, their parents or their grandparents go, "Now, Johnny, you've got to do a budget, Johnny, or it could all go wrong. It's really important you do a budget." And it always makes me laugh because as a working person, I know I shouldn't spend more than I earn. But as a student, you shouldn't spend more than... And when you say that to people, they go, well, you just need to budget. Well, you can't budget unless you know your income. So here's my quick potted guide to what your income is as a student. It's any money you get from a loan, any money you get from a grant, any money you get from working, and any money you get that your parents have given you. Add those up. That is your income. I didn't include your 0% overdraft. I didn't include credit cards or any other form of debt that you've borrowed. So you can't do a budget unless you know your income. Once you know what you're earning, then you can make sure that you don't spend more than it. Real seismic changes for part-time students. Probably bigger changes there than for full-time students, in fact. In the past, you've had to pay your fees up front if you want to go to a part-time course. Now, most courses you're going to get a loan. Unfortunately, the fees have gone up, that's the bad news, but this loan is just like the loan that full-time students get. You will only have to repay it once you're earning above £21,000, and then you only repay 9% of everything you earn above that in exactly the same way, which means if you don't earn a big salary afterwards, if you don't earn above that threshold, you'll never repay anything. You don't get a maintenance loan though, you're going to have to look after your living costs for yourself, but this new system that you no longer have to pay your course fees up front should enable some people who couldn't previously afford to do a part-time course to do one now.
Go for the opportunity. It's an opportunity of a lifetime.
The experience you gain as a graduate is so invaluable, not just from an educational perspective. It's taught me how to deal with all sorts of things in life. It's increased my employability. It's been really, really beneficial.
For me, university's given me a great set of skills. It's made me employable. It's also given me a goal and a focus.
I don't think you should let the money dictate whether or not you go to university. It should be more about whether you're able to go to university, whether you want to.
I'm more positive about the future. I know that I'm going to do well because of what I've come away with, so it's definitely a positive experience.
don't listen to all the negativity that is out there, because university, you look at it as an investment for your future, not like a car or a laptop or something. It's gonna be there, and it's really going to set you up for life.
I really don't think the money should put you off. It was scary to me at first, but I think I've benefited 100% from going to university, and I don't ever consider the money aspect of it. I just think my career is going to benefit from it, and I think I'm a better person for it, so you can't really put a price on that, can you?
The most important message is you can afford to go, but you need to know what it's going to cost. Because unless you've actually sat down and understood the costs of university, how on earth can you work out whether it's worth it? So I would suggest everyone take a little bit of time to understand exactly the costs, make sure you know how it works. But please don't be put off going just because of the fights and nastiness that you've seen in the paper. That's politics. I'm all about the pound in your pocket, and the pound in your pocket says you can go.